Opinions expressed on this radio program do not necessarily reflect the views of this radio station.
Todd, I'll love it. Todd, I'll love it.
Todd and Craig, good to hear you guys.
Todd, I'll love it.
This is Attorney Todd L. Levitt.
Honestly, you could not be any more spot on.
Now, from the Black Diamond Group mothership in the studios of 98.5 UPS, the Todd L. Levitt Law Show.
Diamond Group mothership in a beautiful green, much cooler nutrient field, folks, with my good friend Craig Russell, the muscle, the hustle. He's the dankiest, my sister loves this part, gassiest human. That was for you, Lori. Man I know. Please don't call him Mando. He's not happy about, Taylor Swift, seeing that he's the president of the Swifties, hanging out with Travis Kelce and the Kansas City Chief. Go Lions, go blue, go green, fire up chips. Craig Russell, the muscle, the water's wet, the sky is blue. This introduction, I agree, is way too long. So without further ado, how are you?
That was great.
Good night, everybody.
That was great how you rhymed that whole thing at the end there. I loved that.
Oh,
that
yeah.
Awesome. Hey,
how you doing, Craig?
I'm fan-freaking-tastic. How are you, Todd?
I could not be better. We opened up with truly, folks, I know we talk about this, people joke about this. Growing up in, the late 70s, early 80s, we played Moore's Day in the Time last week. Prince was everything to us guys growing up, hanging out at all the dance clubs. We saw him in concert a half a dozen times. I mean, say what you will, he was a brilliant musician. He could play every instrument on all his songs. The guy was a rocker through and through. So, in the Jimi Hendrix realm, I mean, he just destroyed it.
Yeah, I would put Prince and Jimi Hendrix in that same kind of rarefied air. That's a great example. And so if we're playing Let's Go Crazy, that probably means you had something you really wanted to play that wasn't Prince. What'd you really want to open up the show?
Well, I wanted to play the entire Purple Rain album, but of course, we're not going to be able to do that because attorney Denise Pollicella is coming on a show from Cannabis Attorneys of Michigan, folks. Hey. That's right. She's back in the mothership, and she is just, if not one of the leading cannabis attorneys in this country, which she is, definitely the state of Michigan, but all over the country. You know what, Craig? I wanted a song to go out to all the lovers out there. So you and I had a conversation, right?
Yes.
And we both agree that some of that tunage from the late 60s, early 70s, it just definitely fit the bill. So what did we come up with, Craig?
We came up with 1972's Precious and Few by Climax. For all the lovers out there.
Oh, yeah.
Precious and few are the moments we two can share. Quiet and blue like the sky, I'm all over you. And if I can't find my way back home, it just wouldn't be fair. Precious and few are the moments we two can share.
Precious and few are the moments we two can share. Yeah! Oh, that's so beautiful.
And if I can't find my way back home, what happens, Craig?
I have no idea. I don't remember the rest of the word.
Come on.
I was only 3 years old when that song came out.
300, possibly.
Like that. For everyone who got married and that was your first dance wedding song, there you go. Precious and Few by Climax.
What a great song.
Hey, I got to ask you a question about something. So I was searching.
Can I bill you for it? I am an attorney.
Yes, you can. You can bill me.
Okay, you're on the clock.
There we go.
Wait, you're on the clock. Go ahead. Click.
It's not a legal question, though.
Doesn't matter. I'm still an attorney. You're getting a bill. Okay. Little John's not going to pay for it.
Hey!
What you got?
I was looking through my emails, and I got an email from something called Mando. Mando. And
okay.
It said,
is this something you could talk about on the air? Because we are a family show.
Well, I have no idea. I don't know what it is. It said something about my starter pack, and so I opened it up, and it was it was a bunch of like Spanish, and I didn't understand it, so I just deleted it.
Okay, can you do me a favor, Craig?
What's
so you just opened it up, and that was it, right?
Yeah, I didn't do anything else. I didn't open anything.
Okay, can I make a recommendation?
Sure.
immediately, let's stop the show. Go change your password, Craig. I mean, folks, this brings me to a point as an attorney. Don't ever open up an email that you do not recognize. And before you open up the content, folks, or click on any links, go to the actual email address and open the address above. That's what you need to do, but do not open up anything. And by the way, if you get a letter online from the IRS or from some law enforcement agency, or I'm talking about an email, first off, law enforcement agencies are not going to email you, nor will the IRS. Nope. You're going to get a letter in the mail, certified or a letter. So there's some solid advice for you. Yeah. So what happened, Craig, after you opened up Mando?
Nothing happened up, but I was like, Mando, the first thing I thought, it was like, don't call me Mando. I'm like, don't call me Mando. Did you send this to me? You did not. But I thought it was really funny. I'm like, don't call me Mando. I'm like, hey, this is email from Mando. I was confused.
But that is some solid advice. Do not open up any type of document like that. You just cannot do it, you know?
And if you end up...
Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
If you get an email from the Prince of Nigeria, don't respond to that either. I'm telling you.
What about Meghan and Harry Markle to come to the wedding?
No.
You sure?
They're not coming to your wedding.
What about if somebody sings you a sweet tune, Craig? Yeah. For all the lovers out there listening to a law show. That's when music was music. Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's true.
I mean, come on. Come on, Craig, sing with me. Wouldn't be there. To all my friends from Berkeley High, Class 83, this goes out to you. It goes out to everybody, our 10 listeners. Here we go.
Oh, we're up to 10?
Well, 9.5. We had 2 twins listening to the show, and one moved. So we only get to half. Huge show today, Craig. Huge show. Who's coming on?
Denise Pollicella from Cannabis Attorneys Michigan will be on just a few moments. We should probably...
I got a complaint.
We should probably kill the music.
I got a complaint. Craig. Before we bring Denise Pollicella, attorney at law, on the show.
What's your complaint?
This goes out. It's not a complaint, but this is a situation whereby there's nothing you can do once you are in the situation. Last Sunday, coming back from God's country, Michigan's Upper Peninsula. And for those of you listening around the world, because this podcast is downloaded literally, which is, I'm so stoked, thousands of times a day all over the world. Not just this episode, but all our 200 episodes, Craig. We're averaging like 2,400 downloads a day from all our shows, which I'm pretty stoked about.
Sweet.
Michigan's 2 peninsulas, if you look at it, the Lower Peninsula and the Upper Peninsula. And connecting the Upper Peninsula to the Lower is the Mackinac Bridge across the Mackinac Strait.
I think I know what this is going to be.
Last Sunday, I left God's country, where I was at up in the UP. I think around after 2 p.m. in the afternoon, weather was clear, a little bit drizzly. I'm heading south on 75. And I see a sign that says St. Ignace 3 miles away. And the bridge heading south is in St. Ignace, right past Highway 2. I see the first exit, and I'm thinking to myself, maybe I'll get off, go through St. Ignace, go see my buddy Mark Spacito at one of his restaurants in St. Ignace, and go to Mackinac Bar and Grill he owns, some other stuff. I'm not going to do that. So I'm continuing down 75 South. Immediately, what do you think happens, Craig?
You got huge backup. The bridge was closed, wasn't it?
It wasn't closed, but there was 1 lane of construction going south.
That's right, yep. Okay.
It literally took myself and thousands of others, I timed it, just under 3 hours to go 3 miles.
Wow.
So I got off at the next exit in St. Ignace where the rock is. You can look, climb up.
Yep.
And so I know the back roads in St. Ignace, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to be clever. I'm going to go through the back roads. Well, everybody else had the same clever idea. So everybody's backed up. But so now I'm on Highway 2 facing west trying to get on the southbound ramp. And as soon as I got on the highway, I linked up with the same people that I was on with miles back. So I did myself no favors. And I have a MAC pass, which means if there's a MAC pass lane open, I get to just go about my business. It's just, I don't have to pay. I prepay, which is smart as often as I'm in God's country. But when it's packed like that, no go, no doing. And Craig, I was at zero movement. I mean, I literally, people were walking their dogs while we were stuck in traffic. That's how bad it was. So to everyone out there that was stuck with me, I was there with you. And here's what's really interesting. I had my bike in the back of my truck, and my significant other was able to capture me on the bridge cam going through. There you go.
Wow.
There you go.
That's, 3 hours, that's a long time. I saw a couple people on Facebook who had the same.
Right under 3 hours.
Yeah, just crazy.
Yeah, nothing you could do. And look, there was no construction taking place, and no disrespect to the construction workers. I mean, those men and women, they always put their lives at risk working on the highways, especially the bridge authority. They do a great job. And it's not a complaint, because what are you going to do in that situation? You can't go anywhere.
Yeah, you're stuck.
Yeah, men. Advice to men: have a jug handy. Sorry, ladies. Nothing you can do.
I'll tell you this much, though. It's better than what it used to be. Remember when you used to have to wait for a ferry for hours and hours and hours to go across there?
When you and I used to go hunting in the Upper Peninsula when we were kids, we had to hop a ferry, didn't we, Craig?
Yeah, that's right.
Come on. I'm not as old as you.
I'm not as old as you either. So
precious and few are the moments we two can share.
No one
Craig and Todd.
No one wants to hear you sing, Todd.
We're so happy you're back on the radio podcast. Okay, enough.
We should probably bring Denise Pollicella on. We will take a break and we'll come back with Denise next on the Todd L. Levitt Law Show.
Precious and few are the moments we two can share. Quiet and blue like the sky, I'm over you. And if I can't find my way back home, it just wouldn't be fair. Precious and few are the moments we two can share.
Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. Burning it and turning it, toking it and smoking it for all you smokers out there on 98.5 UPS with my good friend Craig Russell, the muscle, the hustle. Craig coming back strong once again with Climax.
Precious and few are the moments we two can share. You remember that song, Denise? Remember that?
I do.
Craig, introduce our special guest.
Denise Pollicella is in the house. Denise is here. Hey!
Cannabis Attorneys of Michigan, attorney at law. Denise, welcome back to the mothership. Man, we're happy to have you back.
Thank you so much. It's been so long. I've missed you guys.
I know. We took the summer off, actually.
And Craig left me.
Yeah, I know.
Physically, Craig left.
I know. I'm sorry.
He was literally down the street.
Yes. He was. He's been leaving me my whole life. That's why I'm playing this song today, dedicated from me to Craig, Denise. Precious and few.
Yes, but I always come back.
You always come back. But let's get right to it. We're so happy to have you here, Denise, and you're so busy. Explain to listeners who don't know who you are, because this show is heard all over the world, especially in New Zealand, France, Spain, Germany, United States, Canada, everywhere.
Oh my!
What kind of law do you practice, and especially the specialty for cannabis?
Right. So I tell people that I'm a business attorney because when you say you're a cannabis attorney, people don't really know what to make of it. But my core is business law, but we cater specifically to the cannabis industry. And as many times as I've tried to sort of break out of that, every single call we get is from the cannabis industry in Michigan, in the state of Michigan specifically. And it's built my practice, and we're still going strong. And what we primarily do is create, license, counsel, and represent licensed cannabis businesses in the state of Michigan.
And as an attorney myself for 30 years now, I can tell you folks, if you are out there or you know someone that is in the cannabis industry, is looking to get into the cannabis industry or involved in the business of cannabis industry at any level whatsoever, there is no one better than Denise Pollicella and all the attorneys at her office, from Jackie to Joanna. I mean, everybody at that office is just first-round draft picks, Denise. And I know as an attorney that I don't practice that area of law, but I've dealt with your attorneys just for various reasons and consultation and trying to help people, second to none. So update us what's going on in the, around the country and especially Michigan with the cannabis industry right now.
Thank you. And thank you for the compliment. I do. I have a fantastic team and a very strong team, and they make me look good every day. Wow. What's not to tell? So around just generically, like across the United States in cannabis, there are a lot of states coming online. I think we're coming off a particularly volatile period in the cannabis space, and we have some potential for seeing marijuana rescheduled to a Schedule III controlled substance, which is still not off, which is what I think should happen and what I prefer. But 3 is better than 1 in this circumstance, and it's not 2, which means it would not trigger anything naughty or unfortunate here in Michigan. A Schedule III controlled drug, though, would still need to be sold out of a pharmacy. I think that we would sort of ignore it here in Michigan. But what it would do is it would make it legal, meaning it would allow us in Michigan to have better access to banking, financial services, bankruptcy protection, which would be great, and we would escape 280E. So
280E. We need to escape 280E for the industry. That's huge.
It would be a move in the right direction. I don't have a whole lot of faith in the banking, in the Bank Safety Act, or whatever this round of it is called. I don't have a lot of confidence in that passing, because I don't have a lot of confidence in anything passing in the Congress right now. But on the national stage, that's a big deal. We have more states opening up all the time since we last talked. Missouri has gone rec. Minnesota has gone rec. Recreational adult use is on the ballot in Ohio for November. But as far as Michigan is concerned, Michigan is going strong. I've had people compare our cannabis to California's and say it's par or better than California's at this point. So we're really growing some top-notch grade A stuff here in Michigan. And thanks to our neighbors like Indiana and Wisconsin, who are still fully illegal with no decriminalization whatsoever.
Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy. Our borders are going bonkers. So if you are in the cannabis space in Michigan, and you are particularly in the retail space, you are actively looking at every single border town. Menominee just went nuts. New Buffalo, which is in the southwest corner of the state on the Indiana Illinois border. Menominee, for those of you who aren't from around here, is basically Wisconsin. It is the most southern, at the most southern tip of the Upper Peninsula, which goes way down into Wisconsin, and it is 45 minutes from Green Bay. So if you're in Menominee, you've got a little ATM machine there. And then we've got Monroe on the southern border, Sturgis.
Home of the Raisin River, by the way. Little fun fact there. I'm just saying, home of the Raisin River and a Civil War battle. The Raisin battlefield, right?
Yeah, I've been through it, actually.
Okay, just a little fun fact.
Yeah, very fun fact. Thank you.
But Denise, we talked about the DHS recommending to the DEA a few weeks back to reclassify cannabis from 1 to 3. We'd like to see it removed altogether. What's the likelihood of the DEA doing that anytime soon?
I don't know if the DEA they might. And here's why. Okay. The Attorney General delegated authority to the DEA for classification and declassification of controlled substances. So if the Attorney General basically directs the DEA to do it, they're going to do it. I don't know. I mean, look, if you go back to why marijuana was put on the controlled substance schedule in the first place. There was no science behind it. We all know that, and I won't bore everybody out there with this part of it, but it was basically legislatively declared to be a Schedule I controlled substance.
1972 or 4, around that time?
71.
Okay.
And
That's why I don't play the lotto. I'm just saying. Don't ask.
And but I mean, it was on its way there for a very long time before that, since the Tax Act in 1947. So what I guess I'm saying is that if you look at efforts to get it off of Schedule I since then, the biggest barrier to removing it from the Controlled Substance Schedule I list is DHS, because you're not going to get a consensus across the country from medical experts that it has medical use. So the fact that DHS is basically also sort of leaping over the science part, and I think maybe acknowledging that it didn't, it's never going to, and just coming out with that recommendation that there is some medical use to marijuana. It's not so highly addictive that it can't be, warned about and so on, that it's not that dangerous. I think that's the biggest hurdle there is, frankly, to getting it from Schedule I to Schedule III. So I'm hoping it does happen. It would be wonderful.
Let's hope.
Definitely not good enough. Definitely not good enough, but it's a step in the right direction. So that's what's going on sort of nationally. Our neighbors have been either very active or very inactive here in Michigan. Michigan still remains, and I'm so proud of our state, we're still the powerhouse. We're absolutely the cannabis powerhouse of the Midwest, and I don't see us ever losing that spot. Not to Ohio in any event, because we don't lose anything to Ohio.
Go Blue. Yes.
Go Blue.
Good night, everybody. And thank you, Denise Pollicella, for being on the show. Yes. Go Blue.
Sorry to my friends in Ohio, but go Blue. And
but Michigan
just
is
established ourselves as a huge cannabis behemoth. We just are.
But Denise, you've had a hand in this from day one. I mean, there's a lot of great men and women who fought, for decades through NORML and other aspects and areas to end reefer madness, which, by the way, I know we all know this. That was a movie that came out in the 1930s. It was called Reefer Madness. I don't know if anybody knows that out there, but and it was about reefer
propaganda film.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly what it was.
But you've had a hand from the beginning in Michigan. Can you talk a little bit about that before we go to break in regards to the legislative aspect of it? You're part of the marijuana section of the state bar. I mean, you've had so much activity in and around Lansing. Can you talk about what you've done in the past and what you're still doing to affect legislation?
Sure. I mean, I don't want to oversell my involvement. I've definitely had a hand.
Go ahead, do it. You deserve it. You have fought for the people. No, really.
Well, I have had I had nothing to do with the MMMA, so I will tell you that part. I had nothing to do with the initial ballot initiative in 2008. I did, however, always want this to be a business. I always wanted marijuana to be a licensed, legal, tax-paying business, because I think that is the easiest way to make it part of our lives, right? Tax it, regulate it. Not regulate it too much, but regulate it, make it safe, and then it just becomes a business and you create jobs. So I did have a very heavy hand in the MMFLA. I didn't really want, I will confess this now, I did not want MRTMA at the time.
What's that for the listeners?
MRTMA is the 2018 ballot initiative that legalized recreational adult use marijuana, both privately and for the licensed market. And it's not that I was against legal marijuana and recreational. I was not. I didn't think the state was ready for it, and I thought that it would backfire in the municipalities. It's not that I didn't support it. I was just worried that we weren't ready for it. It's worked out, I think, fairly well. I think that it did stall some of the municipalities for a while, and then we got the Hemp Act. And then, what I was kind of hoping to do was just go back to being a lawyer, not a cannabis lawyer, but unfortunately, we have the CRA to deal with now, the Cannabis Regulatory Agency, who, in my opinion, has been a little heavy-handed with the regulations, somewhat unorganized. Let me put it this way. They need a lot of babysitting. Not in a derogatory way. I just can't think of a better word.
Who's comprised of that agency?
Really do that too. So that agency is, headed up by an executive director and not a board, which I have a huge problem with because it gives
it's a lot of authority.
Being transparent.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
And right now it's being run by a cop who is there because the industry was clamoring for more enforcement, and that's absolutely what we got. I just don't think there's much of a balance there on the business side. You have a lot of people at the CRA who are lifetime bureaucrats, and I'm not disparaging bureaucrats. I love government. I wanted to be a government attorney, but I think that when you do not have a business person actively involved at the highest levels of the CRA, that they just see us all as criminals or problem children, and they do not ever look at the industry as a set of small businesses who have generated enormous economic benefit for the state, and not to mention the safe access to cannabis. And they, in my opinion, have not yet gotten to the part of their mission where it says that they are supposed to protect the industry and promote the industry. So far, it's just been punishing regulations on the industry, and an industry who already suffers quite a bit as far as the monetary hardships of being in this industry, not having access
from
to
banking to insurance,
bankruptcy. Right.
Every even if you want to federally trademark a marijuana brand, you cannot do it. You can do it for hemp, but a lot of these companies around in each state, all 50 states where it's allowed, you can't. Am I correct? You cannot federally register a marijuana cannabis trademark or logo for the classification of marijuana. I don't even know if it exists. Does it exist federally? Absolutely not. Right, through the USPTO, United States, PTO. Trademark Office?
Patent and Trademark Office. You
Yeah.
are absolutely correct. There are some very clever ways around that, which we have been able to, help our clients out with from time to time.
Sure.
Namely the copyright office, so you can copyright things.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Right. So what stops you from trademarking something is there's a morality clause in the Trademark Act, but there's not a morality clause in either the Copyright or the Patent Act. So there is some wiggle room there. But, generically, what we were talking about is, yes, very little access to what is traditionally considered business support services around, the country. Tax, finance, loan, lending, bankruptcy, PayPal, credit cards, mortgages. It's just financially incredibly onerous and burdensome.
It's such a. I'm just going to say this.
Owners.
I'm going to say this because I'm from the D. What a crock. I'm just going to say that. What a crock. But hey, if you're just tuning in, I'm attorney Todd Levitt with Craig Russell, the Muscle, the Hustle, and our very special guest who will be appearing on a regular basis. It's fair to say that Denise Pollicella, attorney at law. She runs a great law firm with great attorneys, cannabis attorneys of Michigan. Denise, we have to go to break. We have so much more to get to when we get back. Craig, take us out and then bring us back.
Precious and few are the moments we two can share. Quiet and blue like the sky, I'm hung over you. And if I can't find my way back home, it just wouldn't be fair. Precious and few are the moments we two can share.
Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show with Precious and Few. It's
Precious and Few. My
Todd
song
Levitt.
to you, Jennifer.
That's really sappy.
And you, Craigie Poo.
Okay. And Denise Pollicella is here from Cannabis Attorneys of Michigan. Hi, Denise.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Denise. Thank you for being back in the mothership.
Yeah.
I am so happy to be back. I've missed you guys so much.
And we've missed you.
If somebody wants to contact your law firm for representation in regarding any aspect of the cannabis industry, folks, and I'm referring to licensing, retail. There's so much business of the cannabis industry. It doesn't have to be growing or selling, but the business of cannabis or hemp. Please reach out to Cannabis Attorneys of Michigan, Denise Pollicella. Denise, how can they contact your law firm?
CannabisAttorneysofMichigan.com. Very easy. We're on Facebook. We have a website. We're on Instagram. We're on whatever else my marketing team, But if you just Google Cannabis Attorneys of Michigan, I will.
Fantastic.
Apparently. So do I personally a lot now for some, But yeah, and I think we have a toll-free number, 888-413-1669, 1669.
Say that one more time.
888-413-1669.
So Denise, talk a little bit about, I think it's extremely interesting. Again, this show is heard all over the world. We're based in Michigan, folks. And I'm an attorney in Michigan, as you are. But talk about what a grower has to go through in order to get their product to a dispensary, from the testing, the transportation, and then a little bit of aspect of the dispensary and what the businesses have to go through with the banking industry. How does that all work? How does a product go from seed to sale to the shelf?
It's a closed loop system, and it was designed to be a closed loop system, which means that nobody other than the retail dispensaries, we are not allowed to say the word dispensary in Michigan in the licensed market, but I say it all the time. A licensed retail dispensary can sell directly to consumers over 21 or with a card if they're medical. Other than that, nobody else who has a license in the industry can engage with the general public. So, for example, if you want to grow marijuana, the hardest part really, in my opinion, other than coming up with all the money, because growing marijuana in the licensed market is even more expensive than growing marijuana in the unlicensed market, you must also find a place. And I think that's probably the biggest challenge we all have, is finding a municipality that's opted in to the cannabis industry, and you have to find the right zoning for your particular license type.
And so what you're referring to for those that don't live in Michigan, you just can't decide, okay, I'm going to go to this village, this township, this city, and just open up a cannabis business. That municipality, through their board or township or council, has to adopt in their local ordinance certain aspects or a lot of aspects of the actual statute in order to allow businesses to obtain these licenses. You just can't go anywhere. The community can opt out of it, correct?
So the municipalities in Michigan are uniquely powerful, and they have to allow you to operate a cannabis business in their particular city, township, village. And if they do not pass an ordinance allowing cannabis businesses to operate there, then cannabis businesses don't operate there. You absolutely cannot open a business anywhere here. Now, some people complain about Michigan because they say we don't have any caps. That's not true. We don't cap the number of licenses we allow to operate in Michigan at the state level, because that's not how the state operates with any businesses. But we do cap at the municipal level, and that is where our our controls happen. So if a municipality does want the cannabis industry to locate there and does want to allow the licensed legal cannabis, because let's be clear, the illegal cannabis industry operates everywhere, and they're the ones that don't need a license, and that's why it's a little frustrating for those of us in this industry, because we go up to a municipality and they don't want to let marijuana in their city, and then we have to have a frank talk about the fact that marijuana is definitely already in their city. We just want the ability to sell clean, licensed, lab-tested, safe marijuana in their city.
Well, not to mention, though,
some tax money, right?
But not to mention, in Michigan, each household, let's say, not including, a medical marijuana caregiver, but just in general, recreationally, you can grow 12 plants to a household.
You can, and you can give it away. You can share it.
Correct.
And smoke it.
Just cannot sell it.
You just can't sell it. Right.
Without a license.
Right.
So talk a little bit. So I was going to say, talk then about, just for time purposes, because you'll be back on, not to interrupt you, but I just did again. I'm like Harvey Specter on Suits. What do you want from me? Or Louis Litt. I love that show. Look, you and I are the real Suits, Denise. Let's just agree to. You ever see that show, Suits? I love that show.
I can't watch shows about lawyers. They drive me out of my mind. Because,
this one's outstanding. I agree.
But I get so annoyed because I just sit there during the whole show and pick it apart. So
Better Call Saul was an exception. That was fantastic. But Better Call Todd. Anyhow,
Todd, there you go.
Or Denise, talk about briefly. You're a licensed grower.
Sure.
How do you get your product to the market? Transportation. How does that work? Because you cannot just grow it in a facility and then transport it yourself, correct?
No, you can't. And that's one of the things you can't do. So in the Michigan licensed industry, there are 4, I won't go into all the special licenses, but there are 5 basic licenses, okay? Growing, processing, which is anything other than flower, okay? So turning your marijuana into other delicious things. Retailers, which are dispensaries. Then you can own as many of those as you want to under one company or different companies by the same people, okay? And then you have secure transporters, which are the only people in the state that can transport marijuana. That's it. In the licensed legal industry, if you grow marijuana, it has to go to the transporter to get it to a retailer or a processor or another grower. And then you have labs, testing labs, so safety compliance facilities. When you want to grow marijuana, you grow your marijuana, and then you have to dry it most times. Then you have to send it for testing to a lab. When you get the test results back, then you can sell it. You can sell it either to a processing facility or a retailer at wholesale, okay? Processors can sell to other processors, growers can sell to other growers, but the retail, and then you have to hire a transporter to get it to the retailer for you. And usually retailers do not pay for that. The growers are paying for that. And
so once it's grown and it's tested, then the grower can talk about the marketplace. If you don't, you could sell directly to a retail outlet that's licensed. Sure. What if you're a grower and you don't have those contracts, relationships? Then where does your product go?
Well, you can sell it to another grower or to another processor, or you can sell it through a marketplace like LeafLink, okay, where you can list your product for sale. LeafLink is sort of a marijuana clearinghouse for wholesale marijuana. And you can list it usually with your test results and your price, and then
retailers can retail. It's all, everyone's licensed. It's all approved through the state. So then
absolutely,
a retailer can go directly to that link, that company, that process to get product on their shelves.
Right. And then I haven't even mentioned the best part is that everything has to be tagged.
Everything, folks.
Everything. All medical marijuana plants have to be tagged. Everything over 8 inches has to be tagged. Every time it changes forms, it has to be tagged. And that tag is tracked through a system that is, in Michigan, we use Metric, although Metric's contract is coming up shortly here. But we all have to use the Metric, METRC system in Michigan to track our marijuana from seed to sale, as they say. It is and I think that the thing that people don't understand the most is how ungodly expensive it is to start and run a cannabis business. It is amazingly expensive. And I know people complain about that. I think that it's too expensive on the back end, but in some respects, it should be expensive to start a legal business. This, however, is a little out of hand. I mean, I have outdoor grow companies that spend upwards of $500,000 every year just in permitting and licensing. These are just fees that you pay to the township to renew your special land use permits, and license fees that you pay to the state to renew your licenses, upwards of $500,000. That is not counting the enormous tax burden that these places have. Then you have all the regular costs of a normal business, plus you have transportation fees, plus you have testing fees, and you don't get a tax break on most of this. And then all of your other services are more expensive. So for example, just one quick example, if you want a mortgage, if you want to finance some real estate for your cannabis business, either because, you want to purchase property that you're renting, or you want to, loosen up some cash for expansion, you can go get a mortgage, and the mortgage rates are decently reasonable now through a very, very few traditional lending sources that are willing to bank this industry. But you already have to own the property before they will give you any money, any cannabis business now. And you'll get 60% loan to value. And then what they do is they send out an appraiser, and the appraiser will give you two values. The appraiser will give you a value with the cannabis on it, with the cannabis business on it, and then the appraiser will give you a value without the cannabis business on it. And I'm just going to give you a really brief example. I have a client who has an indoor grow. They got an appraisal for $7 million for their building and property with the cannabis on it, and $1.5 million without. And what happens is they pay insurance on the larger amount, and they end up only being able to qualify for a mortgage for the smaller amount. So that is just an example of the hardship that some of these people are going through. Financially, you're really not getting super rich off these businesses. I mean,
it's so,
for a while, you can.
It's so hypocritical, it's so backwards and contradictory, because the states took something that was illegal. The federal government still sees it as illegal, but states have state sovereignty, made it legal, and yet the way the government and the industry treats, these businesses, it's so criminal. It's so backwards. It's completely, you and I have seen it firsthand. I'm a defense attorney. I don't specialize in what you do. And by the way, folks, we're talking with we have to go to break, but we're talking with and speaking with a regular guest. We're so honored. Attorney Denise Pollicella, cannabis attorneys of Michigan. Look her up online, her firm, her staff, they're outstanding, the best of the best for anything and everything that has to do with the business of cannabis, licensing, retail, anything. Make sure you reach out to this law firm. Denise, we have to go to break, but that's just my personal statement there, what I just said. As we go to break, was I somewhat accurate there? Yeah,
you would think that after we get cannabis businesses open and operating for a couple of years, and the state doesn't, the world has not ended in Michigan because we have licensed legal cannabis now, you would think that we would be able to relax some of the regulations and that things would start becoming a little easier, and it doesn't feel like that yet. And
I'll just say this as a defense attorney of 30 years, 12 in Detroit. I've done thousands and thousands and thousands of cases where people have been operating with, alcohol in their system behind a wheel. And I've seen a lot of tragedy, and my heart and thoughts and prayers go out to anybody who's been a victim in that sense. But I have never had a case come across my desk where somebody, was smoking marijuana, just marijuana by itself, and had the same outcome. I'm not saying a combination of substances out there, folks. I'm not advocating anybody get behind the wheel, even if you have a legal right to do something, whether it's take a pill or smoke anything or drink anything. I'm just saying, I'm a drunk driving lawyer, and that's all I've seen is just tragedy in that area of law with alcohol. So,
yep.
Just a statement there. Hey, we got to go to break, Denise.
Alrighty then.
Yep, we'll take a break on the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. We'll be right back.
Precious and few are the moments we two can share. Quiet and blue like the sky, I'm hung over you. And if I can't find my way back home, it just wouldn't be fair. Precious and few are the moments we two can share.
Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show, turning it and burning it. We don't have a strain of the week. The strain of the week is the attorney of the millennium, Attorney Denise Pollicella, Craig. We should come out with a strain named after you, Denise.
Yes, you should.
What would you like us to call it? It'll be a heavy sativa, very dominant sativa.
Yeah.
What would you like to call it?
Very dominant sativa.
Yeah.
Marijuana.
Lady D. How about Lady D?
How about the marijuana queen? How about that?
Yeah.
Queen weed?
Queen weed.
Queen weed. No way. Queen weed. Man. You know, it's gonna be sold like in the next month. Queen weed. Yeah. You know, we want commission off that, folks.
I want rights. You heard it. I want
rights. What would a queen weed strain be like, though?
If it can get me through, I would really like to be able to smoke it right around 1:30, 2 o'clock when I'm falling asleep at my desk.
Nice.
You know?
Nice.
That would be awesome. Something, a little pick-me-up.
We'll have to get one of our favorite dispensaries soon to open, M66 Cannabis Company, to sell Queen Weed. I'll have to talk to Grant about that.
Not too cheesy. I don't know if you guys ever remember, it was a mixed strain called it was a Vortex is what it was called. It's still my favorite to this day, but I can't.
I remember Sex on the Beach. I don't remember Vortex, though.
Vortex was fantastic.
I mean, excuse me, I remember the drink Sex on the Beach, Craig. Sorry about that. Good night, everybody. I'm sorry to have my wife, everybody involved, my in-laws, my kids. Sorry about that. Parental control here.
Hey, Denise, tell everybody how they can get a hold of you once again if they want to find you to have you help them represent them or just give them some advice or whatever you need to do.
You can go to cannabisattorneysofmichigan.com, or you can just walk into any dispensary bathroom and look on the wall. Our number is probably there. We've been around for a minute. 419-1663. I never remember that number.
No, 1669.
Or cannabisattorneysofmichigan.com, right?
1669. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cannabisattorneysofmichigan.com.
Please don't call that number. Whoever that is going to be on the other end.
Does it say on the wall? Does it say for a good time call Denise 888-413-1669?
Queen Weed. Her name is Queen Weed now, Craig.
It says for a good license.
There we go.
For
Queen Weed.
Yep.
Denise Pollicella from Cannabis Attorneys of Michigan. Thank you, Denise.
Denise, we'll see you. We'll have you on next month, every month. Is that fair to say?
My honor.
And we're going to be doing a Zoom video show with Ms. Pollicella in the next couple of weeks. So check that out on the Todd L. Levitt Law Show YouTube channel. There you go.
Right on. Todd, I hate to break news to you. Show's over. Gotta go.
Craig, I want everyone out there to be the best versions of who you can be. We're not here for a long time. We're here for a good time. And I'm not just a litigator, Craig. What am I?
You're an advocator, Todd.
Precious and Feud. Take us out.
The moments we took and shared. Precious and few are the moments we took and shared. White and blue like the sky, I'm all over you. And if I can't find my way back home.
The Todd L. Levitt Law Show, brought to you by Clark Modular Homes of Mount Pleasant, Rusty Gold Antiques in Everett, Chad Malley Well Drilling of Rosebush, Clear Vision Windows, Siding and Roofing of Midland, and attorney Todd L. Levitt.
Opinions expressed on this radio program do not necessarily reflect the views of this radio station.